What on earth is this? Yeah, that's what I said when I got a shipping notification that my subscriber and Christian brother Lee from the UK was sending me some knives, a couple sodbusters from collectorknives.net and a Winkler Knives II SAR knife, SAR, Search and Rescue. I said, okay, I know exactly what that is. No, I don't. I have no idea. But I'm learning. Stick around, guys. We'll talk about it. Hi gang, Rob here. It's the evening of 12 June 2014. And yes, we have a Winkler Knives II Search and Rescue knife in this here cardboard box. I never had heard of them until I found out it was coming to me in the mail. I think Lee ordered this from Arizona Custom Knives. I'll annotate if that's not correct. But it showed up to be sharpened and shipped to the United Kingdom, along with a couple new sodbusters, one in natural micarta and one in green. Lee is a subscriber of mine for a while now, and we communicate back and forth fairly frequently. Believe it or not, his wife and daughter love to watch my videos, and they love the sound of my voice, and I can't tell you how weird that is. But they do. So Zara and Belle, hello to you. Glad to have Lee's knife, Daddy's knife, on its way to you soon. Well, check this out. Tell you a little bit about what Lee does for a living. He's a Royal Marine. I believe sort of a commando type Marine, and he bought this knife for duty. It comes wrapped in not one but two voluminous sheets of brown paper, and it comes with this cool stuff. It didn't come from Arizona Custom Knives. It came from Knife Art. Duh. So you get that in the box. Get a Velcro Knife Art patch in the box. All kinds of hardware. Why would we have all that hardware? Well, I'll explain. And we've got a little product brochure, a little description about the knife. Signed by Dan Winkler. Certification of authenticity. Really cool paper, by the way. Now the sheath. I'm going to take the knife out and talk just about the sheath for a few minutes. This is like the coolest thing I've ever seen. These removable Kydex or leather modular attachments come with the knife. There is a MOLLE system that attaches to this Kydex panel. This leather panel can be installed for belt carry. And see if you can see this. The sheath is two pieces of leather, or is that felt? That is, no, that is a leather inside lining with a piece of Kydex in the middle, and then a gorgeous leather outer. I believe Dan's wife makes these sheets. And if you notice, there is no retention fastener whatsoever. Apparently, it doesn't need one. Because of the Kydex core. that knife is not going anywhere. You know, leather might get loose, it might mold to the handle, it might stretch and lose this retention. That Kydex is going to hold its shape, and if it does start to lose it, I believe you could probably throw this in the oven and remold it a little bit, sort of squish it down. Probably the most innovative sheath system I've ever seen. Very clean, very efficient, very good looking. But let's get this stuff out of the way. I'm going to set that there for you, and we're going to talk a little bit about this guy, Dan Winkler from North Carolina. Since 1988, Dan has been a custom knife maker full-time, specializes in forged, fixed blades, and primitive tools like tomahawks, small hatchets, things like that. A woodsman at heart since he was a little kid, decided to make his own tools, start making his own tools, I think when he was a teenager. Don't think he's a lot older than I am, if any. Around 50. About 10-15 years ago, guys that had experienced his full handmade custom knives, guys in military and law enforcement, started coming to Dan, I think mostly out of interest in his breaching tools, tomahawks and stuff, and wanted to know if he could make sort of small semi-production runs or expanded custom runs of knives and tools custom designed for their application. And that is where Winkler Knives II was born from. It is its own product line of semi-production knives for military and law enforcement. And the SAR is a friend of the tactical operator worldwide. This is the SAR. It is about a 5-inch blade. Didn't measure, but I'm guessing this is a 5.5-inch handle, including the glass breaker. Obviously a glass breaker. Could be a non-lethal, very painful impact device. And you know, we've all seen these, right? On the pommels of knives. Everybody is familiar with them, but up here you got a nice little lower finger guard, an upper finger guard with a very odd sort of semi-sharpened sort of screwdriver slash chisel slash something. And I asked Lee, because he's very familiar with this knife. We've had a couple phone conversations from England to Indiana, which can't be cheap. I said, you know, Lee, what is that spiky thing on the spine of the knife for? He goes, it's a compliance tool. A compliance tool. That's so British. We'd call it a skull cracker here, but in England it's called a compliance tool. You gotta love that. We are so much less civilized than our ancestors from the UK. We've definitely coarsened the culture, haven't we? Anyhow. Superb handle. This is canvas micarta. I don't know what color it starts out at because this entire knife is coated with Guncoat Corporation's KG coating. It is a spray applied black coating. I was a little concerned about its durability. It feathered a little bit at the cutting edge when I sharpened it. On some of the corners, right out of box, it's sort of worn off. But I asked Lee about it, not badly, by the way. I asked Lee if he'd ever owned anything in this coating. He said he had, and his buddies have, and it wears like iron. On iron. Hey, let's talk about this blade steel, shall we? This, guys, is a hefty old hunk. Looks to be a full 1/4 inch thick of, you're not going to believe this, CPM 154. Yeah, that's like a 10-inch long, 1/4 inch thick slab of CPM 154. I'm thinking this knife's not cheap. What do you guys think? It's not cheap. Between $460 and $500 from an online retailer in your computer. And I got to be frank, as I was handling the knife, sharpening the knife, looking it over, I saw things like this. Can you see the coarse grinding marks underneath the coating, the rather raggedy appearance of the coating itself? Sheath mark in the coating. Painted micarta, coated micarta. I thought, man, that's kind of odd. How on earth do you justify $490? We do have a really interesting serrated spine. Mr. Winkler explains that for use with very fibrous materials like cutting hemp rope or notching wood, so you can save this cutting edge for tasks where you need a really sharp cutting edge. But anyway, I'm looking at this thing going, how do you get $490 for this? And then I started talking to Lee, and I didn't really indicate to him that I questioned its value. I just let him talk, and he was telling me some stories about 20 years or so, 15, 20 years of use of Daniel Winkler's tools in theaters of operations by real soldiers killing bad guys across the globe, whether it be knives, tomahawks, breaching tools, combination tools. If you are in a situation where your life and the lives of others is on the line, then you want a tool like that you can depend on, that you can bet your life on. Winkler Knives II implements work, and they don't break. In fact, I got to tell you this story. Lee told me on the phone today. A buddy of his who was carrying a knife similar to this, I believe called a striker, I believe that's the correct name if my memory serves, was carrying it on sort of a drop-down leg sheath, took a round in the thigh. Don't remember what caliber Lee said. If I'm thinking about where they're fighting, I would imagine it was probably an AK around a 7.62 by 39. Anyway, it was a potent enough round that it would have done serious damage to the leg, probably shattered the femur, perhaps taken out the femoral artery, could have caused a condition where Lee's buddy bled to death. Guess what? It hit the Winkler Knives II knife. Made the knife unusable, but the knife stopped the bullet. Perhaps saved his life. He sent the knife back, I think, in pieces to Daniel Winkler with a letter explaining what had happened and just thanking him for the stout, strong knife that he provided him, and indicating that it perhaps saved his life. And Dan sent a nice note back in a box with a brand new knife. Compliments of Winkler Knives II. He definitely knows his customers well, and he appreciates them. So let's talk about this blade shape. Kind of different, isn't it? We can definitely see fightability here, can't we? We can see fightability in a lot of ways. Bushcraft knife, a little odd with the finger guard, but you betcha. Prying tool, yeah. Saw, yeah. What do you think about the profile of that tip? Looks like a Benchmade 940 on steroids, doesn't it? Look at that belly. I'll tell you what, this knife doesn't get real thin. Behind the edge, we're probably talking 50 thousandths of an inch. I don't know what angle this thing was ground on from the factory, but it wasn't skinny. Get a wipe here on this cutting edge for you. It was not skinny. I don't know, maybe 30 degrees per side, maybe not that bad. I did reprofile it just a bit, backed it up to a secondary bevel of 20 degrees and about a 23 degree micro bevel. Look at how that CPM 154 gleams And you know what, guys? If that secondary bevel gleams like that, how keen do you think that cutting edge is? Even at a robust angle. Let's just look. We got this gritty coating. We got a super thick edge. We got a very obtuse angle. And we got that. Nope. I thought it was kind of interesting. Oops. That was all me. I thought it was kind of interesting that we'd use a sort of crudely finished knife. We'd produce a sort of crudely finished knife that's designed to have the snot beat out of it and not use an 01 or a 1095 or a 5160 or even an A2, but CPM 154. Super tough, super sharpenable, super edge retention, super corrosion protection. And in this thickness and this length, I gotta believe very expensive. But Dan Winkler makes these knives so people who protect us, who keep bad guys away from our doorstep, don't ever have to worry about breaking their knife or chunking the cutting edge or anything like that. This is going to be the last tool standing in that soldier's pack. And apparently, according to Lee, many, many, many guys like him believe in Dan's products. So I'm going to pack this one up with a couple GEC sod busters. And ship it off to the UK tomorrow. I just thought you all would like to see it because I've never seen one before, never seen a video on one before. I know that I have seen a couple interviews, you know, at Blade Show or Shot Show with Dan Winkler from Knife Sight guys doing, you know, covering blade and shot. But they didn't really register with me until I got this in the mail and went back and looked and went, oh yeah, I remember that guy. He seems like a very focused, very committed guy who loves what he does for a living. Very humble and very knowledgeable. He knows that people seek out his knowledge and his expertise. He just does his best to fill their needs. And there's just a lot of cool aspects of this package. You know, does a guy like me who manages a car dealership for a living need a $490 middle-sized fixed blade tactical operator's knife? No. Am I going to buy one? No. Which is why it's really cool to have you guys for viewers. I didn't know this. A whole bunch of guys in the Royal Marines watch my videos. That is as flabbergasting to me as wives and daughters watching my videos. I don't get it. I'm just a guy who loves knives and likes to hear himself talk about what he sees and feels and stuff. So it's very gratifying. So soldiers throughout the world who fight for the cause of freedom and watch my videos, thank you for your service. I get to live the life I live because you do what you do. And there is no greater ally to the United States military than the Armed Forces of the United Kingdom. The most brilliant military strategists of all time. I mean, let's think about this for a minute. 240 years ago, they lose a war on purpose to a vastly inferior opponent because they have the foresight to know, that 170 years later, they're going to need that formerly weak sister of a set of colonies to save their bacon from Adolf Hitler. It doesn't get any smarter than that, guys. That's why nobody's successfully invaded the British Isles since William the Conqueror in 1066. Never take those guys for granted. They are awesome. Lee, thank you very much for sharing this piece of equipment with me on its way to you. Stay safe. May God bless you and keep you as you continue to fight for our freedom across the globe. Grace to you and peace, my friends, from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ, and remember, the word is sharp.